Welcome to AI World TV, your go-to destination for everything artificial intelligence. Discover the captivating landscape of AI, where advanced technology finds real-life application. Subscribe to AI World TV for webzine articles, reports, podcasts, videos, live events, and latest trends. Hear from top industry leaders and discover how AI is transforming industries and our daily lives.
Imagine a battlefield where, well, algorithms are just as vital as artillery. And lines of code can, defend a whole city like a physical shield.
It's quite a shift in thinking.
It really is.
Yeah.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into something often invisible, but incredibly important: the role of artificial intelligence in modern conflict.
Yeah, it's playing this profound kind of dual role.
Exactly. From Ukraine to the Middle East, AI isn't science fiction anymore. It's actively shaping how battles are fought.
And maybe more surprisingly, impacting civilians directly.
That's the really striking part for me.
It is. AI's really moved out of the research labs. It's across the board now, optimizing strategy, guiding autonomous weapons, sure, but also safeguarding things like hospitals, maybe even providing some form of trauma counseling. It spans a whole spectrum.
Wow. Okay, so our source for this deep dive is an article from the AI World Journal, published June 21st, 2025.
That's the one, and it really lays it out clearly. Today's conflicts are as much about algorithms as they are about, kinetic force, guns and bombs.
Right. So our mission here is to pull out the key insights from this source. We want to explore these sometimes surprising uses of AI.
Both the destructive and the humanitarian sides.
Yes, and think about what it all means for all of us. So let's start at the top, maybe. Strategic command, war planning.
Good place to start. The article really frames AI as this new kind of war planner. It's fundamentally changing how big decisions get made.
And a key part of that is this real-time decision advantage, right?
Exactly. That's where it gets truly transformative.
The article talks about AI systems fusing all these different data streams together, like satellite images.
Battlefield telemetry, that's the data coming off vehicles and sensors on the ground.
Intercepted signals, too.
All of it. Fused together to give commanders these up-to-the-second forecasts of threats.
It's just such a huge leap from, the old way, manual planning that took hours, maybe based on info that was already out of date.
And the speed and scale are just, staggering. These algorithms can run millions of simulations in minutes.
Millions. Wow.
Yeah. The article mentions examples like in Ukraine where these systems can suggest the best troop movements or optimal resupply routes or even how to counter incoming artillery fire.
Turning that long human process into something almost instant. Data-driven.
Pretty much. It completely changes the tempo, the speed of warfare itself.
But what does that mean for the humans, for the commanders? If decisions, or at least suggestions, are coming in milliseconds, can people actually keep up? Does the article touch on that? The risk of just being overwhelmed.
That's a really critical point. The source sort of implies that while AI gives you these instant insights, the human role shifts.
Shifts how?
Less about crunching the data yourself, more about making these rapid, very high-stakes judgment calls based on the AI's output. The pressure actually increases, you could argue.
Because the time you have to apply your own ethics, your own strategy, it shrinks.
It becomes much, much smaller.
A double-edged sword then.
Yeah.
But the article also points to AI saving lives, right? Like in missile defense in the Middle East.
Absolutely. Take Israel's Iron Dome system and the newer systems building on it.
How does AI fit in there?
Well, the systems use AI to track rockets, predict their flight paths, calculate exactly where to intercept them.
All in fractions of a second?
Milliseconds, yeah. Saving lives when rockets are constantly coming in.
And it's not just missile defense, is it?
No, connecting it to the bigger picture, it's about resilience. Protecting crucial infrastructure. The article mentions similar AI-powered early warning systems guarding power plants, desalination facilities, airports across the region.
So AI is acting like a shield.
Yeah.
Predicting threats before they hit.
In these really high-stakes environments, yes. It's providing a vital layer of protection.
Okay, so from that high-level strategy, let's zoom in a bit. How is AI changing things on the ground? Execution of conflict, drones, autonomy.
Right. This is another huge area. The article talks about smart swarms.
Smart swarms. Sounds like something from a movie.
A little, yeah, but it's real. Think about commercial drones in Ukraine. They're being retrofitted with computer vision modules.
So AI that lets them see?
Kind of like a human eye, yeah, but working at machine speed. They can spot, say, an armored column, identify it autonomously, and then relay the coordinates directly to artillery units. Precision strikes guided by these small, relatively cheap drones.
And it's not just out in the open fields.
No, the source gives examples from Gaza, from Syria too. AI-enhanced recon drones mapping tunnel networks or hidden positions in cities.
With minimal human oversight, it says.
That's the key. And that efficiency, well, it leads directly to some really tough questions, especially as these lethal autonomous weapons laws get more sophisticated.
Right. The debate isn't really if they'll be used anymore.
It's how. How do we govern them?
Which brings us straight to that ethical tightrope, the accountability gap.
Exactly. This is where it gets profoundly difficult.
If an autonomous drone acting on its own AI makes a mistake, hits the wrong target, causes unintended harm, who's responsible?
The programmer, the commander who deployed it, the manufacturer, the AI itself.
It's murky.
It's incredibly murky. The article really wrestles with this. It's not just about blame. It challenges our whole legal framework, which is built around human intent.
How do you apply intent to an algorithm?
Precisely. Was it a bug?
Yeah.
A design flaw? An unpredictable outcome from the AI's learning? The article issues a pretty stark warning here.
Which is?
That without clear, enforceable ethical rules, AI could escalate conflicts way beyond human control. The lack of transparency in some AI decisions, that could lead to disaster if we don't establish who's accountable.
It's a really sobering thought. But the article does offer a counterpoint, doesn't it? It's not all about destruction.
No, and this is a really important part of the picture. It introduces this idea of the civilian shield, AI being used to support people caught in conflict.
A new chapter, maybe?
Oui.
Where algorithms can save lives as much as they take them.
That duality is crucial, yeah. We see AI being used in early warning systems for civilians.
How does that work?
It can analyze things like social media chatter, looking for patterns, keywords, location spikes.
Alongside sensor data, radar feeds.
Right, combining all that to predict things like air raids or troop movements, and then, crucially, suggesting safe evacuation routes.
Like the Air Alert app in Ukraine. The article mentions that.
Yeah, that leverages this kind of data. And there are prototypes in places like Lebanon and Iraq doing similar things, guiding people away from danger.
And it goes beyond just warnings, right? Humanitarian logistics.
Yes, optimizing the delivery of aid, food, water, medicine. AI can analyze where supplies are most needed, identify underserved areas.
And figure out the best routes for aid workers to get there.
Exactly. The article says the UN, NGOs, they're already piloting AI-driven routing to make aid delivery more efficient.
That's genuinely positive. What else on the humanitarian side?
War crime documentation. This is fascinating.
Using AI to gather evidence.
Yeah, scanning huge volumes of video and images, looking for geotags, matching weapon signatures, even identifying faces, building evidence that can stand up in court.
Like Human Rights Watch in Ukraine.
They're mentioned, yeah. Using machine learning pipelines, basically training AI to sift through masses of data automatically for exactly this.
Using AI for justice, that's powerful.
And there's one more really poignant example, mental health triage.
Mental health.
Deploying AI companions chatbots, essentially in places like refugee camps or bomb shelters.
To do what?
To offer basic psychological first aid to 47er, someone or something to talk to, and to provide pathways for referral if more serious help is needed.
Wow, that's quite something. A real testament to AI's potential for good, even in the worst circumstances.
Definitely. But then there's another front where AI is operating, often completely unseen.
The cyber front.
Exactly. Digital soldiers, invisible battles.
So AI for defense first.
Yes, it's critical there. Protecting things we all rely on, power grids, banks, communication networks.
Even election systems.
Right. AI is constantly scanning for anomalies, patching security holes, isolating intruders, often way faster than a human could react.
But the flip side, hostile actors are using AI too.
Of course. The article mentions generating polymorphic malware.
Which is?
Nasty stuff. Malware that constantly changes its own code to avoid detection by standard antivirus software. AI helps create that variability.
And automating attacks.
Yes. Automating spear phishing, those very targeted fake emails on an industrial scale, making them much more convincing and widespread.
And deepfakes.
That's perhaps one of the most unsettling aspects, using AI to create incredibly realistic fake videos or audio.
To manipulate public opinion. Sabotage diplomacy.
Exactly. It really blurs the lines of reality.
So the key takeaway there is the most dangerous AI weapon might not even be a physical one.
It might never fire a shot, but it could still paralyze a nation by shutting down critical systems or just sowing mass confusion and distrust. It's about data and disruption now, not just bombs.
Okay, so given this huge, complex picture, the power, the risks, the dual uses the article strongly calls for global AI governance.
Yeah, it makes the point that our existing rules, like the Geneva Conventions, were written for a different era, an analog age.
And today's battlefield is different. Distributed, maybe deniable.
And fundamentally data-driven. It needs new norms.
What kind of norms does the article suggest?
Well, things like clear requirements for having a human involved in decisions made by autonomous weapons. Human in the loop.
Okay, that seems crucial.
Definitely. Also, safeguards for civilian data, medical records, biometric data, location tracking. That stuff needs protecting.
Accountability chains, too, like audit trails for AI decisions.
Yes. Understanding why an AI made a certain decision, especially after something goes wrong, and being able to quickly figure out who's behind disinformation campaigns and take them down.
It sounds like a huge undertaking.
It is, but the warning is pretty clear. Without these kinds of guardrails, we risk outsourcing life and death decisions to code we might not fully understand. Opaque algorithms.
A scary thought. Losing human agency, human responsibility.
Exactly. So ultimately, the article concludes that AI is going to define this next era of global security. There's no question about that.
And it has this profound dual capacity we've been talking about.
Right. It can escalate violence, or it could help prevent it. It can manipulate people, or it can protect them. It can strengthen authoritarian regimes, or it can empower resilience.
And the current conflicts, Ukraine, the Middle East, they're like living laboratories for this.
They're stark reminders, yeah, that software is now as decisive as soldiers on the ground, and controlling data is as strategic as holding territory.
So this deep dive, it's really, it's laid bare some profound things about AI's role. It's definitely not just a simple tool.
No, it's a fundamental force, shaping war, shaping peace.
And the challenge for us, as the article really emphasizes, is pretty clear, isn't it?
It seems to be. We need to build AI not just to win conflicts, maybe.
But for human dignity.
Yes. Crafting the technology and the treaties around it to uphold human life even when conflict happens.
The ultimate hope, I guess, the aspiration.
Is that AI can be more than just a weapon. It could be an agent of resilience, maybe even eventually peace, reducing the human cost of war.
And maybe freeing up resources, accelerating discoveries in other areas like healthcare.
That's the optimistic view, yeah. A tool for all humanity.
So let's leave our listeners with this thought then. Thinking about everything we've discussed, this profound dual role of AI in conflict, its power to destroy and protect, to automate violence and enable aid. How do you see the path forward?
Yeah, how can we genuinely steer this immense power towards building resilience, towards building peace, rather than just making conflict more efficient or more destructive? What's our shared responsibility, yours and mine and everyone listening, to make sure AI actually upholds human life and dignity in this increasingly complex world?
You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge. Thank you for listening.